everybody, welcome back to the All Things Good channel and to this week's video. How are you all? I hope you're all doing very, very well. Happy Sunday morning to you. And what a beautiful day we have got of weather, and yesterday was beautiful as well. So if you're in the UK, hope you are enjoying the lovely sunshine we've got again, and for the next few days, fingers crossed as well. I'm loving it. I love it when the sun's out. The garden's looking great. I love seeing all the flowers, and everybody's in such, well, a much better mood really, quite frankly, aren't they, when the sun is out. So it's been a lovely, lovely week. A very productive week and a very busy week for us, and it's been lovely because we have managed to get Nancy out and about on quite a few occasions. So it all started very nicely last Saturday evening for me and my daughter Grace. We went to the theatre. We went into Birmingham and we went to see a show called The Girl on the Train, which was great. If you've read the book or seen the film, go and see the theatre production. It's absolutely fabulous, really, really good. I've got a little bit of a clip to show you of just before we went into the theatre, but unfortunately I couldn't film any of the show for obvious reasons. It was not allowed, so there's nothing really to show you of the show. But we had a lovely evening, and we did have a little pop into HARVEY NICHOLS in Birmingham on the way because we were a little bit early. Did we accidentally get there a little bit early so we could pop into HARVEY NICHOLS? Well, maybe, but it was lovely. Had a little bit of a mooch about there. And of course this week we've had the VE Day celebrations, 80 years since the end of World War II. My son Adam works up at the National Memorial Arboretum, which is up here in Staffordshire. Well, he's working there at the moment. He's nearly finished working there because he's off to Australia in a few days. That's another story. And anyway, we went for the VE Day celebrations, which Nancy absolutely loved. And she was talking about the street party that she remembers outside of her house on that day, 80 years ago. She was almost 15. And lots of memories for her, many of them very sad, as you can imagine, and some very happy from that day. Anyway, it was a fabulous day up at the Arboretum. The weather could have been a bit better. It was a bit nippy actually for her, but it was great fun. And because Adam works there, we also got to see a little bit of behind the scenes of what was going to be in preparation for a concert they were having that evening, which we unfortunately couldn't stay for. But Russell Watson did a show that evening as well. So Adam got to meet him, which was great. And yeah, so all in all, we've managed to get Nancy out and about. Took her to Lichfield Cathedral this week, which you've probably seen on this channel before, but I can never help myself but film it and show you guys Lichfield Cathedral because it is absolutely amazing. So rather than me ramble on about what's coming up in this week's video, let's just get into this week's video, and I hope you enjoy it.
Second floor. Doors opening.
So we've come into Birmingham to come to the theatre to see The Girl on the Train at the Alexandra Theatre. But we've got here a bit early, so we thought we would pop into HARVEY NICHOLS first. How lovely. Out of our pedestrian exit this way. Apparently it's only a few minute walk to the theatre from here. We shall see. No idea where we're going, no idea at all. So I took Nancy out for a trip to Lichfield Cathedral. Now this is just so majestic. I think it's one of the most beautiful cathedrals I've ever seen, possibly in some of the countries all over the world that I've been to. It's absolutely mesmerising, and if you do get a chance to ever come to Lichfield, do make a point of going to the cathedral. Whether you're religious or not, it has a magnificent atmosphere, and the history involved is unbelievable. What do you think of the cathedral, Mum?
Absolutely. I can never get out. I think it's the most magnificent building. It's the detail. Oh, incredible.
It is incredible. And to think it was made by hand, you know, literally.
Absolutely.
In medieval times. And
absolutely.
What is it you said when we were in there? How this is made? It's simply a miracle.
Oh, one big miracle. It's unbelievable. It's unique. There's nothing like it in the world.
Well, you do look grumpy when you do that, but you don't look grumpy. I think you need a haircut soon, though.
Yes.
Or do you a hair wash and a haircut soon?
And hair colour too.
Want a hair colour
Oh,
soon?
yes. I have to keep. I don't want to go blonde. I'm too old to
See,
go
I
blonde.
like being blonde.
Yes.
But let's go.
You know, as the older I get, the more I look like my mother.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, your mother didn't live to be your age.
No. God, oh my God, all the cars are bloody marvellous, aren't they? God.
I see what you mean. They've got.
What a fabulous car. They're not hard up round here, Bob.
No.
School, cathedral's got all that stuff. I love it all around here. It's just, I find it
There's your job.
absolutely amazing. Look, what a building.
And if anybody hasn't been to Lichfield Cathedral, make it a must. A day out.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best cathedrals in the entire world,
Yeah.
I would say.
It
is something else.
Magnificent. Beyond the doors, the window. It's, I say it every time, unbelievable. The
But even-
detail. Look at the top. The statues right at the top.
Yeah.
The apostles.
But as you said when we were inside, it has such an atmosphere. You can't describe it almost, can you?
It's part of heaven on earth.
Oh, yeah. Well, that sums it up completely. Yeah.
And anyone that comes to Lichfield, you tell anyone you know. Tell them.
Tell everybody you know.
Everybody you know.
So another trip out for Nancy. I've absolutely exhausted her this week, but this was a special day. It was, of course, VE Day. 80 years since the end of World War II. Myself and Adam took Nancy around the Arboretum. I will link the National Memorial Arboretum down below for you. Again, if you ever get a chance to come up to Staffordshire, it really is a must-see. An absolutely fascinating place. Very sad in many ways, but this was just a fabulous day of celebration, and the indoor gallery that they've made look like a street party, an actual street from 1945, Nancy absolutely loved. She said it was just like the street party she had right outside her house, which was in Erdington in Birmingham. of weeks ago, I did a bit of a spring cleaning day in the life kind of video, and a couple of people commented that they were interested to see how I put my duvet cover on the bed, and because I sped up that section of the video, they couldn't really tell how to do it. So I'm going to show you today. This is my clean duvet cover. What you need to do is actually have it inside out, lay it flat on the bed with the open end away from you and the top end next to you. Then you want to lie your duvet itself flatly over the top, making sure the corners are to corner and it's as flat as possible. And then all you need to do is take the whole thing and start to roll it up, keeping the duvet and the cover again as flat as you possibly can. I call this the sausage roll way of doing the duvet cover because it's a bit like rolling a sausage roll. So as I say, keep it as flat as you can, roll it all the way, and then you want to take the whole lot in the corners and tuck them in completely. Do one end there, and this is the other end, so you open up the duvet at the bottom, tuck the ends in, and then all you need to do is turn it over and start to unfold. What you'll then see is that your duvet cover is the right way round, and when it's completely unfolded and you've put it all together at the bottom, mine's got little buttons on, give it a good shake, you will find that there will be no bumps and no creases in your duvet. It'll lie completely flat and you'll have all the corners perfectly in the corners. I learnt this actually when I was working in the hotel many years ago, and this whole process of putting my bed back together took me less than 4 minutes. It's a bit of a game changer. So here we are having our moment on the bed. My newly laid duvet bed, nice and flat. It's a good little trick actually, isn't it, that? And yeah, a couple of people had asked me to show you a little more detail how to do the sausage roll trick with the duvet. And it did make me laugh actually, because one lady said, I've been pausing your video because you sped it up so much I couldn't see how you did it. Can you show me again, please? So there you go. That's how you do the sausage roll duvet trick. So as you can see, it has been a very busy week, but a very lovely week for Nancy. And I have completely worn her out. She's had quite a few afternoon naps this week, which is good. I, on the other hand, haven't had any afternoon naps and feeling it, really feeling it. I am super fatigued this week, and there could be a multitude of reasons for that, of which I comment on every week. You know, things like menopause basically is up there, isn't it? Number one, menopause. Is it my age? Is it everything that's going on? Bit of stress, one thing and another. But I'm definitely not getting enough sleep, and I'm a little bit to blame myself for that, because when I do get my own free time of an evening, it's generally sort of 8-9 o'clock, or I want to get into bed and just sort of scroll here up on YouTube and watch some of the vloggers that I like to watch and catch up on videos. And sometimes I think, you know, my only time to myself is when I get into bed. But then you run the risk of watching those videos for an hour, then it creeps into 2 hours, and before you know, the 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock sleep bedtime that you wanted has suddenly turned into 11:30, and then when you're getting up at 5:30, 5:45, as I do on my work days, it's really not enough. So I have got myself to blame for a lot of the fatigue, I know. And I think that the whole thing at the moment with, you know, running a household, going to work, looking after Nancy, is having quite an effect on my energy levels, but I do feel like there is definitely more going on than just being busy, because this week I have had a menstrual cycle. Now, for a huge period of time, as I've mentioned before, but if you're new here, you might not know this. For a big period of time, I have been, for a long period of time, I have been perimenopausal. And then I really thought about 12 months ago, I was really into the menopause. I don't think I had a menstrual cycle at one point for about 6 months. And then I got one here and there. And then I suddenly got one regularly for 3 or 4 months, almost to the day. We're talking every 28 days. But the cycle itself, the pattern is that I get awful symptoms prior. So the PMT and the PMS is probably the worst I've ever had in my life, even as a teenager and what have you. And, if I'd say to my mum or Grace, females of the family now, or I'm due on, they go, "You're not going to kill me, are you?" And I have never had those kind of symptoms before in my life. I used to always get a headache before a cycle, but I'd never really be ratty or moody. But I am now. It's really bizarre. So this time last week, after I'd been to the theatre and last Sunday, and even now actually, I keep getting this horrible headache. It feels like a tension headache, but it feels really foggy. And I just can't quite shift it, almost a bit migraine-y. And that, and then I had period pain, and then I got a cycle earlier on this week. But what happens now is that the actual bleed itself is minimal. It lasts for no more than 2 days, and you would hardly think it was happening at all. And it's also very dark brown. It's not red or pink in colour. So I'm pretty sure that I am menopausal. I am heading into that latter stages of perimenopause, I'm sure. And I do think that a lot of my tiredness and one thing and another has got to do with that fundamentally. But I also, when we were talking about vitamins and minerals the other week, I have slightly adapted those, which I'll go into in time. I want to sort of have a couple of months of doing what I'm doing now to see what difference it makes. Basically, I've cut out a few of those vitamins I was taking. Some of them I've decided to take every other day, and then there's certain ones I am still taking every day, but nowhere near as many. Now, am I having a little bit of a reaction to that? I don't know. I don't think so. But what I have found this week is that I am not sort of walking around in a fog, not like a depressive state or anything like that, because I'm not on the antidepressants anymore. And I don't feel depressed, but I just feel really heavy-headed. And as soon as I sit down, if I was to put my head back on this pillow now, I'd be asleep within seconds. And I'm not getting enough sleep and I'm not catching up, definitely not. But I do think, I feel as if there's something more going on. But one thing I haven't took for a very, very long time is iron tablets. And I'm often anemic. I'm always low on iron. But the last blood test I had, which was now really some time ago, I can't even tell you when, months ago, my iron actually gone a little bit high, and I'd been on my iron tablets for quite some time at that point, so the advice was to come off them. And then I thought to myself the other day, do you know what, I haven't been on iron tablets for ages. I wonder if my iron's gone really low again. That could be a contributing factor to all of this. So I have managed to get myself a GP appointment for this Friday, and I have requested to see a lady doctor, and I'm just going to have a good old chinwag about a bit of everything that's going on, really. And I'm pretty sure that what she's going to tell me is nothing I don't already know. But I'm hoping to get myself booked in. What I'm going to request basically is to get myself booked in for some new blood tests to definitely cover iron levels in that, to also have a look at any possible allergies. By that I mean food allergies. Because the other thing that I've been having a problem with for quite some time now, which I haven't shared with you because it is a bit eek, my bowel movements aren't great. And that's always a concern because there is bowel cancer in my family. My sister died of bowel cancer at the age of 46. I have been very, very well looked after since my sister's diagnosis. Now, she was diagnosed in the late stages of 2011 and she passed away in 2013. So from diagnosis to death was 18 months. And from the moment she was diagnosed, I was thrown into the system and was having regular 5-yearly colonoscopies to check for anything nasty. Sorry, I've got one little hair that's really annoying me. Keeps going into my eyes. There we go. That's sorted it, hopefully. But what they've decided now is giving people regular colonoscopies isn't great because it's not that pleasant, obviously. And they now do a stool test that you can do at home. I've done a couple of those over the past 12, 18 months, of which have both been clear. And I did one just after December, just after Christmas. And for some reason, those results aren't showing up on my medical records. And the GP said to me when I rang the other day to make this appointment I've got for Friday, she said, no, we've never had those back. So God knows what happened to those. Those results never came through for some reason. So, but again, it's possible that those changes that I'm having have been to do with medications or a mix of vitamins and things like that. You never quite know. And because so many of you have been so helpful at saying to me, be careful, Polly, watch out for vitamin toxicity, etc., etc., all sorts of wonderful advice that you've given me, I've thought to myself, do you know what? I almost want to go completely back to basics and go totally au naturel, almost to the point where I feel like taking no vitamins at all, giving my body a break for a bit, and then having all the tests and see if anything pops up. But I thought, no, I will go to the doctor this week, have a good old chat. Hopefully it's all sort of my age, really, menopausal. When I say hopefully, by hopefully, I mean, it'd be nice to have an answer. It would be lovely for someone to go, I think what you've got is this, or I think what it could be is this. But within that, I don't think it's a bad idea to have a good old MOT. And I'm going to request some blood tests, but I want them to try and cover very specific things, because sometimes they'll do a blood test and they'll go, oh yeah, we'll have a look at your iron. And then, I've done this in the past where I've then rang up and said, what are my bloods like? Oh yeah, they've come through normal. Yeah, but what was there any diabetes? Was there any allergies? Oh no, we haven't tested for that. We only test for certain things. And I know that when they do blood tests, they will only test for certain things. So I want to sort of run the gamut really of saying, can you look at my iron? Can you look at any food intolerances? Blah, 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 and see what they come up with. And then if they come up with nothing and all is good, all things are good with the blood tests, then I can almost self-diagnose to a degree and go, it's the menopause and it's just the way it is and I can't take HRT, so we're going to have to ride it out. But I must make it my mission this week to try and get a little bit more sleep. What I also would love to do is have a holiday. And I really feel like I need one. Paul needs one. He's working very hard. Adam is going off to Australia in a few days' time. And with sorting out all of Nancy's house, doing all the decluttering, then the move, then moving her here, then adjusting, I think I have got a little bit of burnout going on and I think I've worn myself out and I really need a holiday. But then that brings me on to what do we do with Nancy if I go on holiday? Now, yes, my daughter Grace lives at home. It's possible she could probably take a few days off work to tie in with me being away if I went away for a week. But she is a carer. She does work very long hours herself. And Nancy, God bless her, said to her the other day, oh yes, no, you must go on holiday. I'll be all right. Don't worry about me. And I said, well, I am worried about you, Mum. I can look after myself. I can do this. I can do that. And it's lovely that she still thinks that she can, but she actually can't, because she can't even make a cup of tea for herself now. So we need to come up with a plan. And I have got some family locally, and I hate to ask, that's the thing. I don't know whether you feel like that, but I sort of hate to ask for help, if help is the right word, or assistance, or could someone help me out with a little bit of respite. But I'm sure if I did approach perhaps a couple of my cousins or my brother-in-law Michael or somebody and say, look, I need a week away, any chance you can visit Nancy, or could you pop in and do her dinner one night or something like that. But it would be an incredibly boring week for Nancy. Although we could leave the wheelchair here and that would be accessible for whoever's looking after her, it would be hard on many levels, and on an emotional level for me. You know, is it worth the worry? Is it worth it for me to go on holiday and think, is she okay today? What is she doing today? Has she eaten today? You know, or am I just putting too much pressure on myself? Am I making things up in my head that I'm making the situation more difficult than it really is? Now, to everybody else in the household, looking after Nancy is a bit of a breeze, really, because she has adapted incredibly well. She is wonderful. But I'm the go-to, really. So if she wants anything, you know, Polly will do it. Polly will get it. I'm the one that does all the meals, all the washing, all the taking out, all the, you know, whilst everybody else, is on board and does their bit, don't get me wrong, and do other things in around my house. So if I'm looking after Nancy, Paul will do the garden or cook a meal, or, you know, we're all in on it and we're all supporting each other, but I am actually the one that's doing it. And I am very aware that if I went down with anything, a common cold, a flu, a bug, a virus, I was bedridden, if anything happens, we're a little bit scuppered. And it is a huge responsibility. And I am very aware of that. But equally, I am no good to her or anybody if I don't get some rest and some respite. And me falling asleep at 8 o'clock every evening isn't good for my relationship, because sometimes me and Paul want to sit and watch a film or do something, or perhaps go out one evening. Going out with Grace the other evening, you know, it was only 2 or 3 hours, but it was fabulous. And I really did feel like my batteries were recharged, and it was lovely. And of course, she was very well looked after. Paul gave her dinner that night. They sat and had a chat together. They had a lovely evening. I was ever so grateful to him. And while she loved to see me come back home, and she stayed up, you know, she was still up at sort of 11:45, sitting in the kitchen having a cup of tea, chatting to Paul, waiting for me and Grace to come home so she could have a chat. And she was as pleased as punch to see us. But can she now cope without me for a week? Is this something that is possible? I don't know. Can she be left with anybody other than me for a week? I don't know. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. And I know there are places that perhaps Nancy could go to herself for a bit of respite care, you know, whether it's a home or something, but I don't know whether she'd take to it. I don't know whether she'd like it. It is a bit of a tricky one, but I do need to have a rest. I do need to have a rest. And I know myself and my body enough to know that things aren't quite, well, they are off kilter at the moment, and I need to look after myself, and I want to look after myself, and I want to feel healthy. I want to lose some weight. I want to do a few things with my body and myself. And I need to stop putting so much pressure on myself, because I know I do that. And I like to have everything done and all the jobs done and everything running smoothly. It's a bit like a finely tuned machine is this house. And a lot of that is me putting pressure on myself. So at some point I need to sort of let go of that a little bit and go, do you know what, no, spend the day in bed today. Well, I can't do that, but spend an extra hour or two in bed this morning, or, you know, have a bit of a rest, or go and do something different, or what have you. Anyway, I would imagine that there are some of you out there that totally relate and are doing this now yourselves, or have done it for a parent or a loved one in the past, and can relate probably totally to what I'm saying. And within that, I also need to remember that it's still an absolute privilege to still have Nancy with me at nearly 95. It's a privilege, and at some point I won't be doing this. I won't be looking after her anymore. God forbid that's in a long time to come, but that will happen. And you know, can holidays wait? Can holidays and things like that wait till that point? I don't know. What's the best thing to do? Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this week's video. We have been out and about quite a lot. It's been lovely. I've got a lot to do over the next couple of weeks, predominantly to help Adam get ready for his trip to Australia. And I say trip to Australia, it could be 12 months that he's gone. Equally, if he doesn't like it, he might be back in 2 weeks. We really don't know. It's as vague as that. He has a working visa for 12 months. So if he likes it, loves it, and he's doing well, he will be gone for 12 months. And if it's not his cup of tea, he might be back within a couple of months. So it's a bit tricky to know at this stage what we're doing in terms of his room in the house. But if he's gone, we might have a bit of a change around here. We're still not getting any viewers on the house, although it's still for sale. So we're just kind of laying that to one side at the moment, and we may make some adjustments here if this house doesn't sell. But there's lots to do for Adam, and we've got a lot of decluttering to do out of his room, because whether he comes back home after his trip to Australia or not, or, you know, does come back home but decides that he's going to flee the nest and go and live with his girlfriend or what have you, there's a lot of stuff in that room that we don't need anymore. So there's a huge amount of stuff to sort out over the next couple of weeks. I'm very, very emotional now about him going. I want him to go, don't get me wrong, without a shadow of a doubt. I want him to have a wonderful experience, a wonderful time. You've got to do these things when you're young. But I just, you know, I hate to say goodbye to Adam. And he's such a lovely person. And his granny adores him so much that it's going to be a huge void not having him at home for a bit. But we're kind of used to it. He did have 5 years away living in Exeter, which, you know, I'd go for sort of 2-3 months without seeing him. But Exeter is a 3-hour drive away. Australia's, well, what is it from here? 24, 26 hours on an aeroplane. Hey, maybe that could be my holiday. Maybe Adam goes to Australia and I get a holiday over there. No, that's far too far for me to go while Nancy's still here. God bless her. But anyway, so yeah, he's off on his travels. There's a lot to do there. And lots of shenanigans. I have actually been to Marks and Spencer's today and I've bought some clothes, but I'm not going to show you those in this week's video because I haven't tried them on yet. But I've seen them on the model and bought what I hope is my size. And if they're any good, I shall show you those in next week's video. But anyway, I hope you're all doing okay. And please fill me in on your ideas and your, ideas of how I go about possibly getting in a holiday this year. But also fill me in about your experiences with this kind of thing, caring for someone and finding the balance and how you do that. Thank you also very much as well for your lovely comments about my new hairdo last week. It's had a few washes now, and actually the blonde is coming out a little bit more than it was. It's feeling in lovely condition. I'm very pleased about it. I'm glad it had a really good cut, but so many of you said that it looks really nice, so thank you very much indeed. Just kind of getting used to the colour, but I am a blondie at heart, and I do feel a little bit more sort of a bit brighter when my hair's brighter. So I don't know, I think it might go a little bit blonder again on my next visit to the hairdressers, which isn't for ages yet, a couple of months yet. I do like it. I do like it, but I am missing being a blondie. And one lady very kindly said in the comments last week, it has dulled you a little bit, Polly, she said, and you do shine your brightest when you are a blonde. And I thought it was very, very sweet. But thank you to everybody, because you've all said that you like it. So that's really, really nice. So I'm going to go and have a little bit of a well-earned rest, actually, because I've actually got an hour to myself now. And why not? I keep saying I need a bit of an extra rest and a bit of a nap. So I'm going to do just that. I am going to have a little bit of a rest now. So I hope you're having a nice restful weekend and enjoying the sunshine if you have got it. And until next Sunday, stay safe, stay in the boat and keep doing all things good. And I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.